So we're going to do that. Okay. It's 4:30. Can you please stand? Susan will lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Jeffrey.
Okay, everybody, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to meet together and for giving us the freedom to be able to do so. We ask for your guidance as we make decisions. Help us to remember what is best for the county. And Lord, we also ask that you be with our president and our servicemen and first responders. Keep them safe, dear Lord. And once again, we just thank you for allowing us to be here. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, welcome to the February 25th council meeting. And the first thing we got on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I'm sure you all read those. You have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept that.
Okay, I've got a motion from Amy.
Second.
Amy, got a second on that. Is there any further questions on this? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? That one passed. Okay. The second one, this is under appointments, is Brian Satterwell.
Check your mic.
How about now? Got it. Alrighty. So I got an additional here. We'll start with that one first. That's first. So I'm trying to close out Bridge 150 over Mill Creek. We have a $169,000 due to NDOT. So I need to pull that up from the Cume Bridge Fund to pay our last so we close out that federal project. The good thing is I thought I was going to have to cancel a bridge overlay this year because of that, but NDOT found some money they owed us from a bridge project that closed out in 2012. So we're also getting some money put back in for once. It's kind of nice. So it's $169,000 out of Cume Bridge Fund to close out Bridge 150 over Mill Creek.
I got a question for Don on this one. Accept the motions. Julie made a motion. Phil made a second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, nothing's passed.
Thank you. On that note, we just also got another federal project approved for Bridge 46 on Ballsville Road, so that should start kicking off soon. So that's kind of nice to see. The next one is additional to hire, or request to hire, not additional. It's not an additional position, it's a position already filled. We had moved around some people, moved the guy up, moved the guy over, so now I need to replace a truck driver in District 3. So it's just a start-off position truck driver.
And this is the existing position.
It is an existing position.
The person that's being replaced, is that going to be his salary absorbed with the other, or is it?
It's only approved through the pay, so it'll actually be lower than probably the rise for the budget because he's starting off. So the money's already there in our budget, it's just we'll be moving to that budget line.
Okay. I guess what I'm asking is it the same amount, or there's going to be some left over?
There's something like that, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Brian? Okay, accept the motion on this one.
So moved.
Jane made a first on this one. Is that a second? Phil made the second motion on this one. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, done. That one's passed.
All right, well, I just kind of want to give you a roll-up for 2025 since we didn't do that in January, because it's kind of a crazy month. The highway had 161 tree call-outs last year. At least trees alone, 161. We put in 14 driveway culverts. We put in 46 road culverts. We had 1,026 hours of overtime for snow and storm, and just 15.3 paved miles and 31.8 miles of chip and seal last year. So,
Have a question. Driveway pipes, is that where the homeowner buys the pipe and you put it in?
correct. The homeowner buy the pipe will put it in for the gravel on the front. That just helps us with ditching along the end.
Good job on the roads in that snow.
Thank you. It was the guys did it. They're the ones out there town. I'm just saying, I heard the call over here said bad. So, but they did do a good job. We were pretty lucky with the snow. It was dry, so it worked out.
Very good. Any questions for Bob?
Any other thing on the
So we got an insurance check today. It is totaled out, so we'll have to come back for additional for some extra money to buy truck, because this is not going to be enough to replace it. So we'll have to, it never is. So they did total out that truck, so we're down one tandem truck this summer for paving. So
Was that a new truck?
it's a new little truck. None of our trucks are technically new. It's about 10 years old. So
Did you ever buy that building back to
we bought it back for parts, because the parts aren't worth more than what they're gonna give us for the job, so we're ready to buy it back. So we'll use some parts on it for the rest of our tandems.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, next one up is Paul Ayers.
Good, how about you? Good. I'm here to basically put some money that's left over from a grant. The grant has ended, but we've got money left in it. It's called the School Liaison Grant, and asking to place that into some lines so we can actually go ahead and utilize it. So I'm looking for $8,000 in office supplies, $10,000 in supplies for the school outreach, contract services, $5,081.37, postage of $390, mileage for $2,500, phone and translation services, $2,510, educational materials and ads, $4,000, malpractice insurance. We have a nurse that runs this program and they work with immunizations and other things. So it's $111 for malpractice. And community partnerships, $25,000, membership dues and educational fees of $3,000, and $10,000 for equipment replacement. We probably don't spend that, but placing in categories where I think we would utilize it the most.
Total on that $70,592.37, correct?
Yes. Yes, the position is actually paid out of our HFI grant, or appropriation, it's not grant, it's appropriation, but the actual fund that started this program has money left in it, and we want to utilize it for the schools.
Any questions for Paul on this? I'll accept the motion on this. Discussion? Motion. Joe made the second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That one's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Catch you.
Good, thank you. I've got an additional, I don't need extra money, I just need a line item in our project income. We've got a new professional association county membership fee for our community corrections department. I need the line 37100, dues and subscriptions. I need to add that to our 1122 fund. I can transfer money from another line into that. But I've got an invoice that I need to pay out of that line, and I didn't have that line budgeted.
So that is adding line 27100 to the 1122, correct?
Yes.
Any questions for Chad on this one? Then we'll accept the motion on this one. Roy made the first. Jenny made the second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Good. Okay, that passed.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Then I've got my Community Corrections Annual Report. 2025 was a pretty good year for our department. Our electronic monitoring program, which is the bulk of what we do, those folks that are released from jail to be on house arrest, we served 193 individuals, 79% completed successful, majority of them obtained employment. Our employment obtained rate was 71%, and then based off the local jails per diem, that's almost $2 million in local jail savings if those 193 individuals have been in the jail for the days that they were on house arrest. Our alcohol monitoring program, it exploded last year. We had a 94% increase, or 92% increase in the number of days served. That program is when someone gets arrested for an OWI, alcohol related, and they're unable to post bond. It's usually a level 6 felony, which is a low-level felony. It's not very cost-effective to leave them in the jail if they can't pay bond, so the courts often release them to alcohol monitoring. And how that works is they're given a portable breathalyzer that tells them at random times to take alcohol tests, so we can ensure that they're not drinking alcohol while they're on pretrial release, waiting for their court dates. So we served 69 people on that last year, and 77% completed successful. Jail savings, if those people have been in jail, was about $427,000 in jail savings. Our community transition program, these are people that from our community that were sentenced to the Department of Correction, prison. When they get released, there's a program through DOC that they get released a few months early to be supervised by community corrections if court approved. We served 64 of those people last year. The best part of that program is it helps us to help them get back into the community. We can set them up with job referrals. We can get them aligned with treatment services, and DOC pays for it. So these are people who come back to our community anyway. Oftentimes, if they're released from DOC without supervision, it's not successful. We had a 97% success rate. All those individuals were successful with completions until the very end in December. I had one that ended up going back to jail. Pretrial supervisions, this is people that the courts let out from jail who could not post the bond. We had 40 of those people. 69% were successful. About $388,000 in jail savings when you calculate the days served. Our community service program, we have road crew community service. There was over 10,000 hours ordered by the courts last year of community service, almost 7,000 hours of community service completed. And community service, that's with our partners, whether it be St. Vincent, DePaul, Olynyk Street Department, Mitchell Street Department, Goodwill, or other community agencies that we help through local events. We help at various local events. Road crew, we did 2,332 hours. That's where we have our staff that meets with people on the weekends, takes them out to do a variety of projects. In the summer, we do a lot of mowing. We do trash pickup. We also help to set up at different events. And then most recently, the best thing we've done is our firewood project. We started cutting and splitting wood late last fall, and giving out wood to people that need it in the community since December. We've given away about 30 truckloads of wood so far. This winter season. It did pick up once the big snowstorm came. So we'll continue to cut and split wood this year, stockpile it. We've got quite a bit left, so we're still taking requests of anybody needs wood. Overall, we did about $160,000 in labor cost savings on the community service program last year. We got juvenile numbers. Juvenile electronic monitoring, we had 17 youth. Putting youth in detention center is very expensive. It's about $200 a day now, average.
So if those youth that we had on electronic monitoring were at the detention center, approximately $206,000 in savings. I'm sure you hear from the juvenile probation department about the cost of detention that the county has to pay because clearly the families can't afford it, so the county has to pay it. We have juvenile road crew. It's once a month. We had 52 youth served, did 1,241 hours of work. They do various projects as well. Clean up, set up for different events. They help with the wood project in terms of splitting and stacking and moving it from one location to another. Approximately $9,000 in youth savings. It's a good program for the juvenile court. There's not a lot of options for consequences, so if a kid gets in trouble for something minor, the court can put them on road crew as a minor consequence instead of like putting it in the detention center. Juvenile problem solving court. This looks a lot like the adult drug courts. It's a comprehensive program that it's like the last step before a youth could be sent to placement or the Department of Correction. We had 12 youth served last year. The big thing on it, because of the low numbers, the completion rates don't look so high, but if our risk level changes is the important factor. Our average risk score was 16 when they started, and when they left with us, the average score was 9, so a 43% reduction in risk factors. We had 2 graduates, 3 unsuccessful terminations, and I think only one of those went to the Department of Correction. And 7 of those 12 youth that were served that were employed at one time, in addition to going to school. So, overall, our grand total savings is a little over $3 million in jail costs. We received $354,000 in grant funds. Some of the mowing locations that our road crew mows, we mow the courthouse lawn, we mow the Dunn Plaza, the Welcome to Lawrence County signs, the recycled property out at Mitchell Road, we help with that when we can. We mow the Welcome to Bedford sign on Sandfield Road. We mow around the probation parking lot. We mow Fritz Tomb, Families Forever, Judah Park, and the Boys and Girls Club when needed. Some of the events that our community service people helped with in 2025, we Live the Night Gala, the Back to School Bash, the Lions Club Pancake Festival, the Williams Bridge Covered Bridge Dinner. We do a lot of work out at the Lawrence County Fair, Super Treat Night, Persimmon Festival, Limestone Heritage Festival, Bedford Christmas Parade, Lawrence County Women's Expo, White River Humane Society, Men's Women's Shelter of Oakwood Park, and Camp Rivervale and Camp Indicoso. So we are in a lot of places behind the scenes with community service. So in terms of recidivism, it's a difficult number to capture and define overall. Our definition of it, to make it simple, to be able to calculate it, is someone that was in a community corrections program and then subsequently came back to a community corrections program after discharge. And in 2025, we had 454 people complete community corrections programs, only 58 returned. So numbers-wise, that's a 13% recidivism rate, which the national average is like 30%, I believe. So pretty low recidivism rate. So appreciate your support in all our programs. Funding from the state is getting harder and harder to get. So as time goes on, we've got to try to figure out ways to keep these programs running strong and financially sound and do everything we can to support them. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, any questions? Thank you. Thanks. There's one thing before I indicate that I forgot to mention that and I apologize. The U.S. Council member, Dustin Gallo.
Dustin?
I forgot to mention that right off the bat, that, like I say, I apologize. Okay.
Good evening. I'm going to try to get through this with my voice. Let's see how it goes. Just kind of wanted to give an election report. This is kind of the best way to get the message out after deadline was the beginning of February, so that's over. Right now, we're just working on getting the ballot prepared, so we know all of our candidates. Reminding everybody that the primary election only involves Republican and Democrats, so anyone that's running for independent or any minor parties will not be included until general election. Also, school board is not until general election. We are accepting any calls that anyone that would like to get an application or an absentee ballot. We will gather those. We will not be mailing out the ballot until about the third week of March. But anyone can call, they can go online, they can come in our office, any of those ways to pick up an application for an absentee ballot. One of the websites that I wanted to recommend for everyone is indianavoters.in.gov. You can go in there and see if you are registered to vote. If you're not, you can register to vote on there. You can request an absentee ballot. You can see who is on your ballot. Everything that you would want to know is on indianavoters.in.gov. Encourage everybody to go on there. We do have our locations for Election Day already set, same as last year. Same times, same locations. So if you went there before, you can go there again. We also, for right now, planning on starting early voting on April the 7th. We all know that right now with legislation that could change, but until the year different, we will plan to open April 7th for early voting in the voter registration office. We did win at one of the conferences a neon vote sign that we're going to hang up in the window during early voting. So when that light is on, voting is available each day, so that'll be fun. Is there any questions? But no name and a half. Tammy, I go in my office, she won, so it was good. I plan on coming each month just to kind of give them some updates so I can kind of update the public too. If anyone has any questions, make sure they call the office and make sure everybody gets
Did they decide on the early voting? Were they doing that back and forth?
I don't know what the exact thing is, but we keep hearing conflicting information, so. As of right now, we're planning to open on April 7th. If they change that, we'll adjust. So, no problem.
Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nathan Watson.
Good evening. This is kind of nice. I typically don't come up here and do something like this. So, I'm Nathan Watson. I'm the director of the Bedford Public Library, and I just kind of wanted to give you a report on how everything was in 2025. So, I want to start with a story. The late, great Bob Bridge spent a lot of time at the Bedford Public Library, and he stopped me a few times to say, Nathan, did I ever tell you about what the mayor said? I said, what? He said, Mayor John Williams, when I first moved to town, he pulled me aside. We just met each other, and he said, you know, you can always tell the measure of a good community by how good their library is. So I hope that story is true. It makes me feel good, and what I want to do is hopefully prove that right by sharing some statistics and things with you, and also some stories. So, really, to run a library now is running 3 libraries. So there is the physical library, the checking out stuff, what you think of when you think of how a library works. And then there's also the digital part, which people don't see, which accounts for a whole lot of what we do. And then there's the service part, which has expanded way more in the last, I mean, it expands more every day, but definitely the last couple of decades. So when we had that old idea of the Carnegie Library, somebody coming in and getting books, it is quite a bit different now, I can assure you. So here's some numbers, and then I'll get to the stories, because numbers, you know, tend to not be so exciting. So last year, we had 269,000 circulations. 156,000 of those were digital. So that's 60% of what we do, what we check out, happens without people actually coming into the building, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it, because actually our circulations are up from a 10-year period, and our door count is up. So we have had, right now we have 15,000 active library users. Last year we gave out 1,000 new physical library cards and 700 digital library cards. Those are cards that you can just check out digital things. You can sign up for them. It takes like 5 minutes on the website. A lot of people ask me too, well, how do libraries matter and how do they count in a world where you can Google things? Well, just last year alone, we answered 12,000 reference questions. And granted, we're only open 6 days a week. We answered 12,000 reference questions. 40% of those were actually instructional references where we sat down and taught somebody how to do something, whether that is fill out a job application, how to use their phone, showing somebody how to do wireless printing, things like that.
How to use Libby.
How to use Libby, how to use Hoopla. We also had 5,000 people come in and use our computers. So that's the computer service that we provide. And we had 17,500 people use our internet. It's average about 60 people a day. I don't know if you've driven past the library anytime, but it's pretty packed most of the time. There's hard to find a parking spot. So we're doing really great on that end. Last year we also were able, through the VITA program, the free tax program, we were able to get 400 people in our community. Now this is, when I say our community, I'm thinking White River North. That's the Bedford Library Service area. So we were able to get 400 free tax appointments done. It's one of the highest in the state per single site. We're very proud of that. That's been a partnership we've had for, I want to say, 20 years, longer than I've been there. So another thing that we do, and I think we do it really well, but I am a little biased, is programming. So last year we had 87 programs for children and teens, 98 programs for adults, and 63 all ages programs. We also do something with our outreach program that no other library in the state does, and that is our outreach specifically goes to the schools, and we do in the K-5 classrooms one program per class each month. So that is, at the end of the year, to the tune of 721 programs. These programs are built in collaboration with the teachers. They are also built with Indiana Department of Education standards. So they are supplemental teaching, and our we have 2 staff who do this. That's all they do all day. And our staff members are ex-teachers, so we take that program really seriously. We've been doing it for about 15 years, and it is by far our most impressive programming that we have, and no other library does it. So I just want to share that with you because it's not something that a lot of people know about. It's also not something that we advertise because, we go to the schools, we have that set up, that just kind of works out that way. We don't have to advertise to get people to come to us for them. So overall, we did over 1,000 programs last year with over 21,000 in attendance. When we started planning this new change in programming, one thing that we heard was there's nothing to do in Bedford. And one thing that we're hearing now is we used to have to go to Bloomington to do these things, and now we don't. So, and that includes all kinds of programming from arts and culture. We're getting ready to do another concert series, which we've done a few of those, to STEM programming, to civics programming. So our focus has shifted in the last few years, and a few things that we offer, again, that libraries don't, which I think makes us unique, is that we provide civic education programs. I think some of you have participated in our Camp Influence, which is essentially a localized version of Girls State, Boys State. So we do that, and we also do In the Hot Seat. I don't know if you know about this, but I eat hot wings with elected officials, and we talk about local government. So there will be a pitch after that if anybody is interested, because we're bringing that back. So these are things that libraries don't typically do, and through that we are able to provide government education on government and civics from anybody 12 and up. We also do success skills programming, where we have used things like Touch a Truck, which we were the ones who started the community Touch a Truck in Bedford. Last year we had 730 people show up for that, so we're proud of that. That is an all-time high in the 3 years that we've been doing it. We do anything from that to programs where we essentially say when I grow up, and we bring people in that have different jobs, kind of like a career day in a box sort of thing. And then we also do retirement programs. We've got end-of-life programs. We really cover the whole spectrum because that's the thing that libraries do. They are the cradle-to-grave education system for the community. So we also pride ourselves on our literacy programming. I like to go new-fashioned, but we got to get old-fashioned a little bit too. We are in the library business. So our literacy program, which is called, our main one is called Summer Discovery. It happens during the two months of summer, June and July. Last year, we had, during our Summer Discovery Festival, a record 820 people in our library parking lot for 2 hours. We had a great time. We got people signed up for reading challenges. It's an amazing thing when you have people who are tracking these literacy programs. We also take part in 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, where people can come in and win prizes as they work to 1,000 books, reading 1,000 books before they get into kindergarten. We've already had a few people who have won and gotten a prize. I think it's a gift bag, like a tote bag, and a picture on the wall. It's a really cool thing. So I left you some photos, and I didn't go through that packet, chronologically, but I left you some photos and some testimonies of the stuff that we do. Last year we had a great year, and I did want to invite you, any of you, to come out and see the library, come talk to me. I'll show you around, take you up on the roof. Kids love it, just kidding. And then I also wanted to let you know that you feel free to reach out to me if you want to participate in our Camp Influence, which is, again, it's our girls state, boys state localized program where we teach middle and high schoolers how to run a local government. One of the perks is that they get to meet and find people like you who are elected officials who represent their communities. I'm looking at half a dozen people who have participated in the past, so just wanted to let you know about that. And also just to share a personal story. So I used the computers in the library to do all kinds of things, but one of them was to apply to college, to apply for financial aid, to get those things done. So, and then that just kind of led me back here to open up these possibilities. When I started the library, they made a job for me. It was the lowest you could possibly be, and the opportunities that organization has and provides to people. I just saw something in that, and that elevated me to be able to do something that I thought, man, I'm really making a difference in our community. I'm one of 1,000. I mean, I see this every day. People go to the library and make themselves better. They get jobs for the first time at the library. A lot of people, when they're brand new to the community, they stop at the library. It's the first place that they go. They want to know where they can get this, where they can get that. They want to see a friendly face. So, we're a traditional, proud community, and, we believe in hard work, and we believe picking yourself up by your bootstraps. And I always tell people that the library is the factory. So, anyway, questions? 2.
Back on the rings. Who was the last one standing on that?
Only one person dropped out. Was he here? No. Okay. No, he went all the way. Yeah, he went all the way. Yep. So we're going to do, I actually want to do a county one, but what I find is that some people just don't like hot stuff. But anybody who was there can testify. It was a good time. We had a couple laughs. And I think for people who are learning about government and things that are pretty weighty, to have the people who are there kind of setting themselves on fire, it just takes a little bit of the stress out. So the one we're talking about is Tim Sawyer. He did great. He did great.
Well, I volunteered. It ain't takers.
I'm trying to get a county one together. We're doing them thematically. Any questions that aren't about hot wings?
What was the limit that you were talking about?
It's the digital library.
It's okay.
And I read it. I bought books on hold, but they had to walk me through because it changed from Dr. Libby.
Overdrive.
Yeah. And I had to have help. And they will talk you through it. Or I can go in and take my phone and they'll show me
right there at the desk.
And it's ebooks, e-audiobooks. We have apps too through Hoopla and Canopy where you can watch videos. They go straight to your phone, or they go straight to your TV. We have music as well. It doesn't cost library users anything. It does us. Digital is pretty expensive, but that's something that, years and years ago when Susan was there, we made a decision to really lean into digital, and a lot of communities haven't, and it's almost 60% of what we do, which is wild. I mean, to think of every, 10 people check something out from the library, 6 of them haven't even darkened the door. But our door numbers are up, so go figure.
After the meeting, if you'll see me, I've got this one paper if you discover notarized too.
Sounds good.
Yeah. No further questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Paige, over to it.
Have some handouts, I apologize, I cannot see on the slides today. These are horrible, you can print out, I'm so sorry.
So, Paige Sansone with Baker Tilly, we updated your financial plan to include the actual results of 2025. We also have our parcel level analysis model up and running, so we were able to run that analysis to give you an idea of what we may lose in revenue due to Senate Rule Act 1. We had to run that analysis with 2025 data for the most part because we're still waiting for the state to give us 2026 data, but we should have that in April and we will rerun that for you. In fact, I have an updated agreement for services I wanted to cover after this presentation, but we will be able to update that for you. So before I get into kind of the very brief summary of your updated financial analysis, I want to go over a few things. One is the 2025 legislative changes. I know that happened last year, but it's so important because it does impact your revenues. So as you know, that really focused on property tax relief, and we were here last year telling you what the estimates were that were from legislative services. Unfortunately, those, after we ran it through our model, it's double what legislative services had told us last year. But we suspected that might be the case because legislative services did not incorporate all the changes. It was just a few of the changes. So right now today, if you look on page 3 of my handout, or slide 3, I'm sorry, what we're looking at for the revenue reduction impact is for 2026, $1,136,000. Now compare that to where you were in 2025, which was only $633,000. I say only, that's still a lot. So that's almost a $513,000 increase. So what does that mean? That means you should expect to see a reduction in your property tax revenue, and I'm going to show you how that affects each of your property tax supported funds. Now, that is an estimate where we stand here today. I can tell you that 2026 actual numbers will be available at the beginning of April. So after tax bills are calculated, the Department of Local Government Finance will post that on their website, and we monitor that on a regular basis. So as soon as that gets posted, we will let you know. But right now, at least from our modeling, it looks like it's going to be about $1.1 million. 2027, it is going to go up a bit. We've got it going up right now about $33,000, so it would go up to $1,179,000. So again, these are property tax credits issued to taxpayers. So the reason why it's going up is that additional property tax relief that was passed in Senate Rule Act 1. Now we get to 2028 and it jumps. And the reason is because you're like a lot of other counties, you have local income tax paying for property tax relief. It's a lit PTRC is what they call it. If that is eliminated, as we think it is in 2028, then that won't be there any longer. to give credit to the taxpayers, now there's going to be more circuit breakers. So that's why you see that jump up. So that jump up in 2028 is about $478,000. Now, let me just stop there for 1 second, because right now there is proposed legislation to delay this new local income tax structure to 2029. So should that happen, this big jump is going to happen in 29, not 28. I fully anticipate that delay is going to pass. So that's a good thing. We have more time to figure all this stuff out. And also, I heard that the delay was because the Department of Revenue still doesn't have the information we need to make good decisions. Because, to their credit, I guess, or we understand why, we've never had to understand what adjusted gross income was by municipality. And now we do for this new WIT structure. So anyway, there's likely going to be a delay. Then in 2029, we'll see another little increase. You're going to see another little increase in 2030 and 2031 because the property tax relief phases in over a 5-year period to 2031. So that's what we're looking at right now. I think that's a fairly significant increase for you. When you're in 2025, you were at $633,000 revenue reduction. By 2029, you could be at $1.6 million. But it's not all doom and gloom, because with the new local income tax structure, I think that's going to help to a certain degree, and I will talk about that in a minute. I want to talk about the levy growth. So for the last 3 years, your maximum levy has been limited to a 4% growth, and that was by the legislature. Well, yesterday morning, they tried to slip in something at the last minute in Senate Bill 4 to try to limit again at 4% for 2027. My understanding is by the time we got to the afternoon, they pulled it because there were so many people complaining. What happened was the Association of Indiana Municipalities contacted all the mayors, the clerk treasurers, and they immediately called their legislators, and it got pulled. I hope it stays pulled because they could try to sneak it back in. Well, we don't want it to be limited because in 2027, if it's not limited again and it goes back to the normal calculation, I think it'll be around 5%. We need to see that growing, right? We don't want to see it limited, but I'm just bringing that up because it could potentially be limited again. I want you to know that in our current financial model for you, we have limited at 4%. Hopefully, worst case scenario. If it's not, then great, we'll update that model for you. All right. So a little bit more on local income tax. So again, I do think there is going to be a delay. One thing we know right now, even if it is delayed, the 1.2 county services rate is still there and available for you, meaning you will have the authority to adopt up to 1.2%. Now, that would bring in about $16 million. Standing here today, I don't think you need that full rate. We worked in your plan only about a 0.8%, and that was going to get you back where you needed to be. So I think as we get closer to this, I don't know that you need to do it now, but we can help you do a full local income tax analysis to determine different scenarios. If you're at this rate, if you're at this rate, if you're at this rate, and see if you have a good sustainability plan going forward. We can also help you with what you have authority to adopt as for the townships and the libraries to determine what rate would be reasonable for those units as well, because that's going to be in your wheelhouse, your authority to do that. So we can help with all of that. I don't know that we should be doing it now because we need to see what happens at the end of this week, this legislative session, but we fully anticipate the 2027 legislative session is going to have further changes to local income tax. So it's like, don't pay for the lit analysis until we know exactly what's going on. I mean, you can do some preliminary analysis if you want, but there could be some further changes. I know one of the changes that was proposed recently, and I don't think this is going through, is the municipalities being able to take a portion of your 1.2% rate if you don't go to the max. So it's things like that that just keep changing and evolving. But right now, you have the ability to go to 1.2%, and I think that's going to be good for you because I don't even think you're going to need that full rate. Just for your information, I know you already know this, but your current lit rate for the whole county is 1.75%. 1% is certified shares that gets deposited in your general fund and can be used for anything. 0.25% is public safety. That goes to the county unit and your municipalities. And then the property tax relief I just mentioned at 0.5%. And that's really a good local income tax because that's what's helping keep your circuit breakers down. But again, that's going to be eliminated either at the end of 28 or 29, and the circuit breakers are going to go up because of that. On the next page is the new local income tax structure, again, subject to change. But just as a reminder, I know I told you about this last year, but as a reminder, there's the county services rate that you all can adopt, the county council. Fire protection and EMS. Here is another proposal that's out on the table right now. The current language doesn't say that you, the county unit, can get a share of fire and EMS, which I thought was crazy, needed to be changed. There is now proposed language that specifically says the county unit can get a share of this, and the county unit can determine allocation methods. So you're going to have, if it passes, you're going to have a lot more control than how the current language is written. So that's actually a good piece. Hopefully that will pass, in this legislative session, but that's a 0.4% maximum rate. Non-municipal, that's the libraries and the townships, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of libraries and townships that are dependent on this local income tax. So trying to determine the appropriate rate is going to be very important for them. Municipalities with a population less than 3,500, that's under your wheelhouse. I don't know if you have any here. I think you probably do, don't you? I'm sure you do. Like Ulutic, and there's going to be some smaller ones. You'll adopt that one whole rate, but then it gets divided out among the municipalities based on their population. It's not 1.2% for each of those smaller municipalities. It's 1. And you don't even have to go up to 1.2%. That's what I'm saying. An analysis is going to be very beneficial because maybe you decide 0.5% is enough to go to them. So that's why it's going to take some analysis. The larger municipalities like Bedford can adopt their own at 1.2%. And then the special purpose rates still remain, but you don't have that in this county. That's where you get special legislation for like a jail lit or something like that. So you could still do that. Something important to know also is that the current rate structure is still here until either the end of 27 or 28, so you can still make changes to your current lit if you wanted to. That's up to you. I know some counties are doing that just to try to get some additional dollars for public safety or whatever while they still can. But again, it would be temporary because it's going to expire either at the end of 27 or 28. Okay. Moving on to page number 7, I've already talked a little bit about property tax caps and why that's an issue. And so really I think the message is because of this property tax relief bill, Senate Bill Act 1, we really need to start thinking about other types of revenue sources. So that would be fully utilizing your maximum levy, taking the full amount. Consider bond issues for large capital projects if you need to. Promote and manage sustainable assessed value growth, and that really is just bringing in economic development where feasible, because we know that growing your assessed value is what's going to help you limit those circuit breakers in the long run. And that's easier said than done. I completely realize that. Strategic use of non-property tax revenues like income tax, grants, user fees. I don't know when the last time you did like a user fee analysis, but some counties will do that periodically to see if they're charging enough for building permits or, whatever services is provided. And I realize that doesn't generate a lot of revenue, but we've got to try to look at any revenue source that we... Going on to page 8, now we're getting into really this financial plan and just kind of updating you on what we're finding. So on page 8 is showing you in blue your actual and estimated property tax collections. So, for instance, in 2025, you receipted in about $10.2 million of property tax. Now, you levied 10.8, but you didn't collect all of that because $633,000 was returned to taxpayers in the form of credits. So just kind of follow that blue bar along. You see it's going to go down in 2026. So your property tax revenue overall is going to go down in 2026 to $9.4 million, then go up to 10.5 in 2027, barely make any change in 2028 to 10.519, and then in 2029, 11 million. So what is it? Like bottom line, very little to no change in property tax revenue, and that's your primary funding source, basically. So just keep that in mind as you go forward as far as budgeting. And that's one thing we obviously want to help you with is estimating your revenues for 2027, right before the budget season. And I think if we can get those 2026 numbers and work it into our model, that we're going to have some very good estimates for you late April, early May. That'll be perfect as you go into budget season, because you need to know, how much revenue do you have to budget. And the sooner we can get started on that, the better. Page number 9 actually tells a good story. Page number 9 is showing that, yes, your property values are increasing, which is driving down that tax rate. Your tax rate is actually lower by 23% than it was in 2022. So your tax rate in 2022 was 0.5690. It's now 0.4368. And that really is a result of having those increases in your tax base, your property values. Your property values have grown 44% over that time frame. So that's why we say focusing on trying to get your property values up, or bringing in businesses and things of that nature, commercial, even residential, that's going to help your tax base. Page number 10 is also a good sign. Your local income tax numbers have been increasing steadily, which is good. That means that the adjusted gross income in your county is steadily rising, and that's a good sign. I mean, if it was going down, we'd be not in very good shape here. It's either people leaving or jobs aren't paying as much, but it's good that we're seeing a gradual increase. And I do expect that will continue unless our economy takes a turn, which it will eventually. We all know that, but right now it's on an upward trend. Page number 11 is also something we like to see. This is a comparison of what you budget to what you actually spent. And we like to see you spend 90 to 100% of your budget. And so in 2024 you did. You spent 101% of your budget. So you spent everything you budgeted. In 2025 you spent 93% of what you budgeted. And people sometimes ask me, well, what's better if you only spend like 80% of your budget? No, because that tells me that you are not accurately budgeting, that you have fluff. I don't see fluff here. I see a very good, accurate budget, and that makes it easier to make financial decisions. Because if you're only spending 80% of your budget and you say, hey, can we do raises? I'll be like, no, it looks like you're going to spend 100% of that, and really maybe you have some sitting out here that we can use for raises. So bottom line is anywhere between 90 to 100%, good. That means you have accurate budgets, and that's what we like to see as financial advisors, because we feel like we can give you better, help you better with your decision making when it's accurate and it's not full of pattern and all of that. It does make it difficult though when we say you need to cut, because it's very hard to cut because I know how lean it already is. Page 13 and 14 is really just all of the assumptions we use to go into your financial plan. I'm not going to hit every one of these, but I'll hit the highlights. I mentioned this before. We're using a 4% growth factor on your property tax since it has been capped the last 3 years. If that changes, we can update accordingly. The local income tax, we used a historical average of your growth, so it has been gradually increasing, so that's what we included in your plan, a gradual growth. On your disbursements, we built in an inflationary increase of 3%. That's pretty typical of what we would build in. And then on your net assessed value, we backed off on that growth. We took 75% of an average between 2022 and 2026 just to make it really conservative, and we still ended up at 6.5%. So you've had some good growth, but we even backed off to try to be conservative, and we're still getting 6.5%. We'll try to get you a better estimate once we run through. We're going to take the 2026 assessed values and run it through our parcel level analysis, and we should get a better idea of your growth of assessed value going into the future. So now for the remaining pages, I just want to kind of go through some of your major operating funds. And this will be quick, but I like these graphs because it kind of shows you the trend of what's happening in each of your funds. So on page 15 is your general fund. Your cash has been trending pretty steady. In 2025, you added to your cash reserves, which doesn't surprise me because you did underspend your budget, which is fine. So you had an average cash reserve of about 32% from 2022 to 2024, so right in between the two guardrails. The dotted red line is 15%. We don't want you to fall below that. The green is 50%. When you're above 50%, you want to start planning to use that money because we're not in the business to stockpile money, but you are right in between. So that's what we like to see. But look at that trend going downward, and that is from the property tax relief and what I've been talking about with the property tax credits. We do think that you will utilize some cash reserves, and I don't think there's going to be a way that you're going to be able to prevent that. I think you're going to need to just weather the storm because you're going to probably use about maybe $2 million in 2026, this current year, maybe another $1.5 million the next year. But then it starts to correct itself, and that is where we worked in a 0.8% local income tax. So we didn't even put you at the max, and it tends to correct itself. So we've got to watch this local income tax legislation, but I feel like there's a way to correct this trend, this negative trend line with the local income tax. I mean, you can correct it by cutting huge chunks out of your budget, but I know how difficult it was to make adjustments last year. So I don't know that you have that leeway. So again, that dip is concerning, but you see that it's corrected. It's not going down below the 15%. I just think that you, like many other counties, are going to probably have to use some of those cash reserves to sort of weather the storm until we get through the change in the property tax credits and the increase in the property tax credits.
Paige?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I am thinking correctly. If the new lit structure is pushed back a year, we would expect that 2028 estimate to be
Yes. Good question. So you may get close to that red line, if not dip below it, but you're going to need that local income tax for sure, without a doubt. So the delay, I kind of like the delay so we can figure out what's going on, but to your point, and you're not going to be the only county, because a lot of counties, the 1.2% is going to be sufficient. In fact, probably less than that's going to be sufficient. But if it's delayed, you've got to think about that. Luckily, you've got a little bit of room there. Do I want to see this as a financial advisor? No. But what I like seeing is that it can be corrected. As long as we get that local, like if they don't take that away from you, that local income tax. And I can't see them doing that because there's too many local units of government dependent upon that local income tax. I think what the biggest change we'll see is to help municipalities because the 1.2% for the large municipalities is not going to be enough for many of the municipalities. And so if 0.8 is enough for you and part of that new legislation is they can use part of what you don't use, that might be a good fit for everybody. We'll see. I just want to make sure that you all get enough to operate. So page 16 is your aviation fund, and its cash reserves have kind of gone up and down a little bit, but at least within the last few years, it's been well above the 50%, but on average, I guess it's been 51% of the disbursements. And so right now, I mean, we did recommend last year that you kind of reduce the levy on that a little bit and shift it over to another control fund just until we get the reserves down to an appropriate level. And in fact, our plan just contemplates that you would have a 25% cash reserve starting in 2027, just to level that out. It's not unusual for counties to shift property tax from various funds just to make sure that their cash reserves aren't getting too high in one fund. So it's not anything that's abnormal. It's just we did make that recommendation because the reserves were just a little bit higher than what was needed in there. That was the same for the health fund on the next page. So on average, since 2022, the health fund had 243% cash reserve. Unless there's some capital items that need to be purchased, that's a lot higher than what is really needed. So our plan is just contemplating that the property tax is shifted just for a time period to get it right back in the normal range. So able to fund the whole budget, no issues there. Just making those strategic shifts so that we can get it in the normal range. Page 18 is the local road and street, and you're using this the way a lot of counties use it. You'll build up the reserves, and then you have some capital that you're going to spend. And we have some capital built in there that we got from you all, so that looks perfectly fine. It's okay to build it up and then use it for capital. That's really what it's for, so no issues there. Looks like we had $2 million of capital outlays planned for the next 3 years. Lit public safety has been within the normal ranges. It does look like that you intend to use it on some things, and then obviously we're showing that it's just going to go away at the end of 2027. If there is any monies left over there, you could just continue to use it on public safety stuff until it runs out. So you're utilizing that fund, don't see any issues there. Motor vehicle highway on page 20. This does look like it's going up, but that's because we don't really have any capital items to stick in there. If you guys have some capital items that we can put in there, that'd be great. We just did a rough calculation, and we think that you probably have $600,000 or more to spend on one-time capital, whether it be road improvements or what out of here. It's a pretty healthy fund, which is great. This is not a property tax supported fund. It's funded all by gas tax. So there's monies there to do a few things, not a lot, but a few things. Page 21 is your statewide 911 fund, and yours fund is healthier than a lot of counties I've seen because the revenue keeps declining because of the track phones, I guess, don't pay this 911 fee. So anyway, you've had pretty good cash reserves. You have enough in there if you needed to spend $450,000 on capital outlays and still have a 50% cash reserve. It can only be spent on, obviously, dispatch stuff or 911 stuff, but it seems to be pretty strong. It might start dipping a little bit if those revenues start coming down too much, but it's been pretty steady, but you're well over the 50%. Yep.
You just explained something I'd like you to elaborate just a little bit. I thought, why would that go down? Everybody's paying 911, they're not.
My understanding, and I could be flat out wrong, but I've heard people say this, that those track phones that people buy, they're like throwaway phones. Burner phones? Yes, thank you. Burner phones. That's a guy. I don't think they pay that. Because when you pay it, it's usually through your provider, like Verizon. So, I don't know. That's what I heard. And then also people don't have the phone lines anymore in their house and used to pay on that as well. Sure. So, I don't know. Interesting. Page 22 is is your reassessment fund, and again, that was another one that was banking some cash reserves there, so we're just allowing that by shifting property tax, you're just allowing that to get back into the normal range. So, and we capped it like at 25%, which is a perfect cash reserve. Emergency management, page 23, or civil defense. Those cash reserves they look high, like 500%, but the budget isn't very high there. So the monies that are generated there can only be used for emergency management, so you can just utilize, but you can see it's not like there's a ton of money there, it just looks like the percentage is really high. And then on page 24 is just like a one-pager of where you've been with your total cash and the change, and then where you're going in the future. So again, in 2026, if we just look at all the funds combined, you might end up using about $2.8 million of cash. It's possible. And then in 2027, another $2.3 million. 2028, if that's delayed, it could be another 2.3. So, I mean, just keep in mind that you have some cash there to kind of weather this, but we've really got to monitor the legislation to see what's going to happen. So, on page 26, I think I brought this up before, but this is the time you need to really look at all of our options. We don't have to do them now, but just know that you do have options. So the cumulative capital development fund that you have is outside the levy limit. So in other words, if you increase the rate on that, it's actually new property tax revenue that you can get. Your rate is not currently at the max. I think it's 0.0133, I think, right now, but the maximum is 0.0333. If you reestablish that to the max, and by the way, the commissioners would be the appropriate body to reestablish this, you could get additional property tax revenue of $442,000 annually, and that is net of the circuit breaker credits. So that's new property tax, and it's only a 2-cent rate increase, and you would have until May 31st to do that. Again, county commissioners would do that.
If you can put back and look how long that's been at that rate.
I can. I didn't, but I can. So here's what happened. The way the legislation used to be written on these CCD funds is that you once, a long time ago, I'm sure, you were at the max. But the legislation said that every time your net assessed value increased, it would adjust that rate, so you would be neutral. And it just kept adjusting, because I told you, your net assessed value has been increasing, kept adjusting. Well, that got changed a couple of years ago to where that is not adjusting anymore. So now it's a good time to go to the max, because then you'll never have to adjust it again. So at one time you were at the max, I just don't know when, but we can look back and see.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Yep. So there is a particular process. It's not a hard process, but you have until May 31st to complete this project. You still have plenty of time to do that, and we can help you if that is something that you are interested in.
You say that's plenty of time, but it really is.
Well, it is, because we can still do it. All you have to do is have that public hearing in April even. You can have it as late as April, and we still have time to do it because there is a remonstrance period that we have to go through, a 30-day remonstrance, but that can extend out on the May 31st deadline. It can go beyond that as long as we file with the DLGF by the end of May. So we can still do this if you want to. You just let us know and we'll get the ball rolling. And again, you don't have to do it now. You can wait. It's always something that you have in your back pocket in case you want to do it. I just want you to know about your options. Local income tax, I think we've discussed that plenty. Let me move on to page 28. So you've probably heard that there's a bill out there that has to do with township mergers. And the reason why I'm bringing it up to you is because there's a potential that you might need to be involved. This bill has changed several times, but I noticed yesterday it did pass. It is now an engrossed bill. I mean, it is passed. But they keep trying to slip in amendments. But here's where it is right now. It requires that townships are kind of graded on performance. So they get points. The more points you have, it's not a good thing. So if you have 4 or more points as a township, you're going to be forced to merge. Now, more than likely, well, some of these townships will be able to merge with the municipality, but I think right now the municipality can decline, and if they do, then I think you have to step in and try to make some decisions. So again, because this just passed yesterday and it's been changing and changing and changing, I don't have a whole lot of information, but I want you to know that Baker Tilly can help. If you have to be the one deciding who merges with who, we can help you with that. We can help you determine taxpayer impact, what might be the most effective and efficient merging of the services. Some of these townships provide a lot of township assistance, poor relief services. How is that going to be handled? So we can help you with that. Fortunately, this isn't going to happen until January of 2029, but decisions will have to be made before then. I'm just giving you this for awareness in case you do need to make some of these decisions. So that was a lot of information. Do you have any questions for me?
On the way the root structure is set up right now, there's $6 million on property tax relief, which is actually going to go away. What's that going to do to the taxpayer?
The taxpayer should not see a huge effect because what's going to happen is the taxpayer now is going to get more circuit breaker credits. Where that PTRC audit was so good is that got applied to the tax bill first and then the circuit breaker, so it lessened your circuit breaker impact. Now, without any PTRC, it's going to be more circuit breaker. So the taxpayer should be okay, but just getting a lot more circuit breaker, which translates to less revenue for you. Yeah.
So the taxpayers should see some relief.
Yes, that's what we hope so, right? That's what they're promising. They'll see some relief there, but they're going to see probably more local income tax. So what's the net impact? That's the thing I'm interested to see.
One of the things that they talk about is personal property below a certain absolute rate, which we probably have a lot of in this country, and most people would pay more taxes.
So personal property actually raised the threshold, so, and I can't remember, I don't have that in front of me, but at some point, I think it's 26 or 20, no, it must be 27. If you have personal property that's up to $2 million, it won't be taxed. So there's going to be people with personal property that aren't going to have to pay taxes. But it reduces your net assessed value, your tax bills. Yeah.
Below that threshold.
Yes, that aren't going to be taxed.
And they're going to be the least likely to be able to pay it.
Yeah.
I think this is a mess, actually.
I have words for it, but we just have to try to get through it. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is we are updating our agreements, obviously, and I can give you those. So I just have one copy, but I have an updated master services agreement, which is just, an agreement to do services for you, but then I have a scope of services, which is that one. So I wanted to explain the scope of service. Let me get back to here. So the scope of service is just an update from what we currently have with you. We just update them at the beginning of each year. So the update is to update your financial plan, which we're calling it the Fiscal Sustainability Plan. And that would be to update that model with the 2026 data and then update your financial plan to go one more year and update your 2027 revenues. We have that at a cost not to exceed $25,000. And I want you to understand that that is time and expense not to exceed. That's a budgetary number. It may not even be $25,000, but we have to give you a budgetary number, and we will not exceed that number. We already have the model built for you, so hopefully we can be well under that. But Dan had wanted me to make sure that I told you that this is a budgetary number. It's not a flat fee. It is not a flat fee. That's not how we charge. Scope Section B, which is on page 5 out of 6 is where I'm getting these, is actually doing that parcel level analysis. That's only going to cost not to exceed $4,300. And then scope section C is if you want to do a full-blown lit analysis for all the various units, like I talked about fire and EMS, the townships, the library, the county unit, the municipalities under 3,500 population, not to exceed 5,000. We will only work on whatever you want us to work on. This doesn't obligate you to any of these services. But if you need help, this would allow us to continue to help you this year.
Paige, I may be way out of base, but it seemed like last year we talked about improvement, and we were really struggling at budget time. And we didn't seem to be able to get anything back from you right when we needed it. And I don't think I'm the only one that saw that problem. That gives me pause. I mean, you're saying you can give us these numbers, but right now we're talking about 25 numbers, and that is the same story we had last year.
I know. I hear your frustration because I was very frustrated because we fully anticipated having our parcel level analysis up and running last summer, and we just got it finished. So I hear your frustration. The numbers we provided today, that's a great start because that was actually running 2025 numbers for the whole entire thing. The only thing that's holding us up now, because we have that model done, is the state, the Department of Local Government Finance. They have to give us those numbers. But I hear your frustration. I really do. And we're going to do the very best.
We had a hard
No, I know. I know you did.
And everybody in the county really struggled and gave their heart.
Yeah, I completely understand, and I totally understand your frustration because I'm frustrated too. But I feel like we have everything ready to go. Even if the state doesn't give us all of the information we need, we have the 2026 net assessed values. We just don't have the deductions, all those homestead exemptions and deductions, and that's what we need from the state. So if we can't get it from the state, if we can get it from you, the county, then we've got what we need. We just didn't want to have to ask you for all that, but we're going to try to get it from the state first, so if we can't, then we'll see if you can give it to us. Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Yes.
With all the uncertainty and the possible legislation changes, how often we would get an update?
So it's really good just to get an update. We usually do these updates once a year, but we wanted to update it for you now because we had 2025 actual data. But once a year should be sufficient unless you want twice a year. Most of my counties just want it once a year right before budget season. So, yes, it kind of depends on what, yes. Now, obviously, we want to do this update again just because I know we're so close to getting that 2026 information, and if there's a delay in the lit structure, which we'll know by the end of this week, that's what I want to do. So you deserve an update in May. But usually we just do it once a year. But again, it does depend on what's happening, and so many things are happening.
Jerry said the budget process last year was tough. And for most of the department heads that stepped up and held up there at the end, I don't think we would have gotten where we got to.
I think we need to get ahead of it. That's why I'm saying the earlier we start, the better. If we can start having even discussions in May, as early as May, with departments, with you all, we don't have to wait till July, August, September. Let's get started early, because we can give you good revenue estimates. We already have good revenue estimates. They're only going to get better as we get closer to May. Let's get ahead of it.
Like a desperation.
Yeah, I
We were
understand.
struggling for that, and we just couldn't get what we needed. And I felt like you had obligated to us and really didn't fulfill that obligation last year.
I agree. But do you feel like you really did feedback, and you too, like, as needed be? I could have a little more. What about you, Ed? I know we talked a few times.
We talked several times on that, and I mean, I told you cycle, I believe in April.
I felt like that all year.
You do it all year, yeah, you get it paid off. You get paid off. We were under the understanding we were going to have something before budget season last year.
I remember coming here and presenting a it was May 19th. So,
And I remember we got the book. The one we got the book.
She's on the...
yeah.
We got the book there. But then, to me, it just went quiet from
So that was it. It wasn't follow-up. Okay,
the raising the follow-up.
okay.
In fact, I even talked to Dan once or twice. I mean, it's not all your fault, part of the problem is here. Because you guys were waiting on actually the budget books were done, the budget books weren't sent. So there was fault everywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. I appreciate the comments, and we will strive to make this right. I mean, we will. If we need to do, and that's what we're trying to do now, is monthly meetings, monthly follow-ups. We've started that already, so we can keep that up. The monthly virtual meetings, make sure everybody's on board.
Maybe even a timeline.
Yes,
Like
we can produce that timeline. Yep, absolutely.
Martha, you asked to specifically, this is what we need by, we're working on this, and this is what we need.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I think that's when I got involved in it, because you guys were waiting on the budget books and stuff, but we didn't know.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. There was a lack of communication. We didn't know what we didn't know. Like, we didn't know you guys were waiting on us to provide something, and I think there was a lack of communication. It could have been handled much, much better, and we will strive to do better.
Communicated a few times.
And what happened was, when I found that out, it was straight within 20 minutes. I mean, 20 minutes, but we need to know what you want.
No, I know.
That's the thing.
We will continue with our monthly follow-ups, because I think that's actually helped, and we will strive to do our very, very best. And I'm sorry you had that experience. That's not the Bertolli experience.
It surprised me.
Yes, I understand.
That's one question. I will make copies of these for the entire council and take the
Okay.
I want to make copies of all that. And this will be something to look at here.
Yes.
Which there'll be no action taken on this tonight.
No, I didn't expect totally.
That would give the council a bit of time to, I don't see an urgent, the next 30 days.
Yes.
Until that way, council can go through it, and then we'll have a decision.
Okay.
Okay, to do a question, if we follow that timeline and we choose to move forward with this, we don't hear from us until the end of March, what would that look like for you guys in your return?
We could, if we heard back by the end of March, we could still get you something in May. Because your model is fairly updated. We've already updated the 2025, so just putting in the 2026 modeling, parcel modeling, is not going to take a long time. And we still intend to keep up our monthly meetings. So this is the February update. March will be virtual again, as we started this, I think, in December. So we're going to continue to do that. So yeah, we can still turn it around. And I fully anticipate when we get the next update, I want to come here and meet, and if you want the department heads there, let's sit down and talk about these revenue estimates, because just me standing up here talking about, oh, here's the status of your fund, I don't think you really get the full flavor of what's happening in each fund and your revenue. So let's have a working group session if that,
We did that before with our departments. I thought it worked out well because everybody heard the same.
Yes.
There was no interpretation.
Right.
I thought it worked out well. And I don't know about, we got to take them to here. So, I thought it worked out well. So I think that would work out. And then we have also set up, which that might be, we'll just real quick, the contact person. We've also set up a 3-person work committee that is already diving into this now.
Okay.
So that contact person might be, I'm assuming, one of those three.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I have a suggestion. I think that the council should look at two things in this before you go away. One is the contact. What is the contact in this age?
Who's the primary contact? Yes. Well, a lot of our contact goes through Mark.
When it was originally set up, though, it was not like it was just Kate.
Okay.
So I want the council to approve that part of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we need to know who to contact, yeah.
are you still, when you say primary contact, then
I mean, yeah, that's who we've been going through for communications.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, just let us know who the contacts are, and we're happy to do
The
that.
second thing is, when I looked at the contract from last year, my question was, I didn't see anything in the scope of services budget, and budget was the primary concern of the council. So I want you to look at the scope and make sure that the scope defines what you want. This is the contract that we would use, so.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't think budget services was in the scope, so I don't think we knew we were supposed to be helping you with the budget, but we do have it in the scope this time. So I think, again, the communication, we failed to realize that that's what we needed from us. I know. It wasn't.
Just repeat it to them, how we knew that.
I know, and we looked back at the scope, and it wasn't in the scope, so I think, again, we dropped the ball on that. It should have been in the scope. It's in the scope now.
See, that I mean,
No, I get it. I hear you. I hear you.
when we met over here, and I specifically after listening,
It's probably Dan Husband.
are you going, when we finish this, will we have a plan of action, what we need to do to balance the budget? And he said, well, we can't actually do that for you, but we'll give you some input or something on it.
It's probably because it wasn't in the scope. So
Well, this budget's free, but I can certainly advise you on it.
we're going to make sure that we're very clear. And we put budget services in that current scope. It's in there. So now that we know what you're expecting, what you need, what you're anticipating, we're going to do better.
So 33%, .033.
Yeah, some human capital development.
Who presents that to the commissioners? Because I'm really interested to see if it was a higher rate.
Okay.
And I think it's important if we have an opportunity to capture that, that the commissioners are kind of, we got
You actually
Oh, okay.
that they are on board with that too, because it's not we don't want to miss that opportunity.
Right, and it's a strange thing, because it's weird that the council doesn't approve this, but that's just the way the statute's written. I mean,
Well, it's because all capital projects are under the...
yeah, but the tax rates are under you, which makes it weird. But yeah, I mean, if the commissioners have questions about it, I'm happy to answer the questions, but yeah, it's a good piece of revenue that you're not currently getting. And it would help the commissioners because they have capital plans and projects. So if I need to come to a commissioners meeting, I'm happy to do so. Okay. Who am I looking at? All right.
So you want a point person, you want a contact person, so.
I want the council to understand who that contact person is and be agreeable to it. So that if somebody other than what you got right now, that can be changed, so we can have that changed for next meeting.
So the ball does not get dropped. I said, so the ball doesn't get dropped, basically.
I know we had a Katie there before, and then I'm hesitant on like just the reason because I was getting ready to put, things that were dropped here or whatever. I think it needs to be one of the three on the board.
What are you saying?
The contact person.
You don't think it should be Martha?
I don't. We started out with returning before with Katie.
But Martha's the one that has access to all the...
But
Paige can email me, tell me what she needs, and I can send it to her.
Well, why don't you see, just let us know who you want to be. Just let us know who, I mean, because we like to copy Martha a lot on things, so if it's working with you, we can contact you and copy Martha, just do that.
I think Martha should be copied in it.
Yeah.
But I think whoever, this is my opinion, I want to say it, but who was one of the three on that work committee, then this is the three that bring it back to the council should be contacted.
Okay, just let us know who that should be.
I forget who's on your rec committee.
Well, we actually need to put one more on there now because it was Amy, Phil, Dee, and Jeff. So, yeah, Amy, Phil, and Jeff. So we need to put one more on the work committee. Because at the time, that's all. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll call it work committee. So we need
I think that's all something that we can decide and address in our next meeting.
And then you need to know who that contact person in that committee is going to be. Good. Sorry.
I mean, that's my opinion. And then CC, it's not that we run and I'm not or anything like that. It just gets one more set of ears in there.
Yeah.
You know, to find out, you guys wanted this, but you didn't get it. Or she wanted this, but she didn't get it. And then it died right there. And there's no instances anymore.
I'm not going to let them decide, for sure.
I think that's...
It's not allowed.
And the council can decide who they want to replace Jeff with. Because I know it was Amy, Sarah, and Jeff. So they can make that decision.
Okay. So my marching orders are, we're going to get our next meeting scheduled for March, our monthly meeting. We are going to put together a timeline, plan, a calendar of when things are going to happen. We would like to get started on budgeting sooner rather than later, so I'd say May, we need to start talking about revenues and you know, what each department has for budgeting and all of that. And we'll put together the rest of the timeline.
For that, and I'm more concerned, highly concerned about now too, with also this ambulance contract. I'm highly concerned with that.
Okay? We need to sit down and talk about that.
Information for you now, too, and we have information for you now on that.
Okay. Can you email it to me, and then we probably need to set up a whole separate meeting just to discuss that. Yeah, for sure.
So we'll do that in the March meeting.
We were going to do virtual in March, but yeah, we can come back in person if that's what you want. But we've been doing virtual meetings for a month.
I was in,
Yeah.
what do you guys think? Will we do virtual, or would you prefer those to come back?
I think virtual is okay, there's not...
Not really, because I need to make copies. I'll have Martha make copies of these, and get these out to the council and to Phil. So virtual. We'll say virtual.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's Mr. Chairman. For clarification, who is on the working group? And if the council doesn't have it, doesn't have to vote on this. If we can do this by consensus, would you approve to say who is on the working group?
Okay, we've got two on the working committee now. Yeah, Amy and Phil on there now. So somebody else needs to be on this group. On the working committee, so.
Get committee out of there altogether.
And then I'll take it if nobody wants it, Jamie, and then if somebody speaks up and say it's what we want to do.
I'm kind of interested in it. I think I'll take it.
Anybody else?
I said, where you hearing it?
You guys good with Jamie? So the three on the committee will be Phil, Amy, Jamie. That would be the working group. Yes. You know that.
There we are. He's got a different time we say it wrong.
That will be your three on.
Those will be the point on that.
Amy
Amy will be the one to contact. Any further questions for Paige? Paige, I will have Martha get these copied into all. I'm not in there. And I appreciate you coming. We've only got a lot of other things that are out one that we wouldn't have been able to put over. We got a lot of things that are out, and I appreciate it.
Safe travel.
Thank you. Okay, and then the next one that we got coming is the 2026 allowance, which I think you've all got copies of now. There was one correction on there, I think you guys all got it, which was my mistake. There's a mental public library. It's been changed, because I still had Elizabeth, and it's not Elizabeth, it's cousin. If you guys got any questions, or you guys good with this, or questions, comments, email on this? If not, I'll accept the motion to accept. So, okay? First and best, second, Jane. You got any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, so this is the current list, Mark, there's nothing changed on this. And then we've got ordinance 2026-01, the incumbents, are you doing that one, Linda?
This is just the ordinance so that we can encumber the funds for county general, $49,530.08, and the other funds that are not on county general funds, $309,395.61. And I will say that the largest amount of that is from April reassessment, which carries forward the continuing reassessment in the year. In case you never know how those are going. There's no encumbrance of all funds for
Has anybody got any questions on this one? Then I'll accept the motion on ordinance 2026-01. Commissioner Rapp, legislation. Larry, second. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Martha, that was passed. Okay. Sam Hart, right here. Sheriff, birthday. Good evening, Sheriff. Good evening.
All right, I'll keep it short and sweet. Jail population, just a quick update, 74 inmates, 61 males, 13 females, have 8 DOC holds, 1 parole hold, and 2 level 6 felons with the sentence to serve their time here. And then the only other thing I have tonight is the request for additional appropriation, and that is from fund number 4904. The fund is the Sheriff Drug Seizure Fund for $268. Basically, this money was evidence from a drug case, and there's a court order for that to be dispersed via forfeiture. And this money's already been taken from our evidence to the Treasurer's Office, deposited in the Drug Seizure Fund. So we just need to move that $268 into the line for contracted services so we can send that off to the Gamble Law Office so they can distribute that. So money's there, it came from our evidence, it's in the fund, it just needs to be put in a line so it can be dispersed as for the court.
Any questions for the rest? I'll accept the motion on this one. John is opposed. Julie seconds on that one. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, the
That's all I got. Michelle, anything?
Thank you. Doing how hot was it? Is it? It was hot. Now, I was actually there because I wanted to see that. But you didn't. But I didn't. I missed it. It's on YouTube. They have a competition, more or less. Is that one of them? The Hot Wings? No, so it was a library put it on, and you can find it on YouTube, which big plug for the library. They are on social media in a lot of different ways, and I would encourage the public to go look at Bedford Public Library. Get on their social medias, go to YouTube, you can watch the Hot Ones episode that he did, and so there's 10 different levels of heat, and he asks the questions. You go through level 1, it's not that bad. You get up to level 8, and that's like the notoriously bad one because it tastes like a garbage can, and it's hot. And then 10 is the hottest, but by the time you've gotten through surviving 8, you should be able to make it all of it. And it's an opportunity for you to hear what a judge thinks about things, what a prosecutor thinks about things, what a defense lawyer thought about things. You can go on there. But I would encourage anybody, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the Bedford Public Library is there. They're active. They have all kinds of good messaging that they put out, programming that they put out. You might be able to tell that my mother was a children's librarian for her entire career, and my sister was a librarian in Speedway, Indiana. So I love libraries and librarians. So he was. He did well too. He drank a lot of milk. I think he drank Mark's milk too. The only other thing I've got to say is I think the sheriff needs to open an investigation on Jamie because she knows what a burner phone is and seems really interested in burner phones.
I watch too much TV.
Yeah, I guess.
Late night.
I think she might have a burner phone that has her Libby app on it. She might be stealing from the library. I don't have any updates right now, but it's going well. The sheriff's department, the state police, and maybe another agency or whatever were involved in a massive drug investigation, and those folks are starting to come in and be processed through with attorneys. Some are hiring private lawyers, but our office is handling a bunch of those cases. It's going to be a whopper of a case with lots of defendants, and it's going to probably max out both the prosecutor's lines and my lines because it's a hefty case. We're prepared, we're handling it, we're moving forward. So other than that, I don't have any updates, and everything's going well. Okay. Open for questions. Good to see you, Dustin. This year, nothing's been contracted out. I anticipate, I was told at one point in time there could be as many as 13 defendants in this case. I don't think they've charged that many yet. If so, it's far more than we can handle in the office. And who knows. I do have to take that back, that we did have Judge Klein ordered a person to be represented by outside counsel, and that was handled locally by an outside attorney, and so that'll come from our contract funds. But we have the budget for it. I just anticipate we will consume that budget. In the last few years, it was a big number that I kept shrinking down to a usable amount. Might have gotten a little too hasty in shrinking it down, but we have a public defender supplemental fund that I can pull additional from, not to come out of county general if need be. We just don't do that 2 years in a row. But we're not to that point where we're even needing to think about that yet. We're pushing right through. Awesome. And the court order is I know there was one 2 meetings ago, which or someone went through your office. So yes, some court orders can be processed for psychiatric evaluations. For an example, you see a lot of psychiatric evaluations come through as court orders. There are some of those that need to come through our office because you get reimbursed 40% for them. Some you don't, but many you do. So both court staff, Superior Court 1 and Superior Court 2, are now aware of that, and this should be processed. We got that one squared away, so it should be. I know that last one said there's Almost. We got it. Almost. Got a copy. Any questions for Tim? Thank you very much. Okay, we got one thing left on the list, which is Cool Bridge. And there is which these require no vote. Just information on them. The one is for the circle. This one is for $350 total, grand total. So that's the only court order that... No, it's, he's not back. It's just his court, but it's still just home. So that one is for $350. And that's all I have. That's the only court order is in unfinished old business. I have no motion. Accept the motion to adjourn. So, Julie, second. I'll call the motion. Please say aye. Adjourn. Thank you.
I have one thing to do all the time.